Mary was a poor porridge seller who lived in Ajegunle, Lagos. Every morning she pushed her small wooden cart through the dusty streets, calling customers, but very few answered. People complained that her porridge tasted ordinary, and because of that, she barely made enough money to feed herself. One evening, after another day of poor sales, Mary sat alone in her small room. She counted the little coins she made, and tears filled her eyes. She wondered why every other seller around her had many customers, but she always struggled. As she cried, her neighbor Ada entered and told her there was a powerful herbalist in the next community who helped many people become successful. Ada whispered that if Mary truly wanted to change her life, she should visit highml.p. Mary could not sleep that night. Ada's words kept ringing in her head. She wondered if going to a herbalist was the right thing to do, but her hunger and poverty were stronger than her fear. She told herself she needed help by fire, by force. Early the next morning, Mary packed a small bag and left home before sunrise. The streets were still quiet, but her heart beat loudly as she walked toward the herbalist's compound. She hoped she was doing the right thing. When she reached the gate, she paused and whispered a short prayer. Then she knocked 3 times, as Ada had instructed. The gate opened slowly, with a loud squeak. A tall, dark, and skinny man with long tribal marks stepped out. His name was Herbalist Kola. His eyes looked sharp, as if he could see deep inside a person's soul. Mary felt her legs trembling, but forced herself to remain bold. Herbalist Kola asked her why she came. Mary explained her story, her struggles, her hunger, her desire to have many customers. She told him she wanted a better life and was ready to work for it. Herbalist Kola nodded slowly. He said success did not come cheap, and anyone who wanted power must be ready for sacrifice. His words frightened Mary, but she stayed quiet.
You will use human dead body water to cook your porridge.
Herbalist Kola led Mary into his shrine, where strange objects hung from the ceiling: cow horns, red cloths, feathers, and clay pots. The air smelled of burning herbs. Mary felt sweat on her forehead. He told her he could give her a charm that would attract customers like bees, but he warned her that the charm needed something stronger than normal herbs. Mary did not understand what he meant, so she asked what the cost was.
You will use human dead body water to cook your porridge.
Mary's heart pounded as Herbalist Kola explained. He said the water from a fresh corpse had spiritual power that draws human souls. Anyone who ate the porridge would always return for more. Her business would grow overnight. Mary shook her head and said she could not do such a thing. She told him she only wanted customers, not trouble. But Herbalist Kola laughed and said she should go home and continue suffering if she was afraid. Mary left the shrine in confusion. When she got home, she kept hearing the herbalist's voice in her head. Success requires sacrifice. For days, Mary tried to forget the herbalist's words, but the poverty in her life kept reminding her. Her porridge continued to sell poorly, and customers even walked past her without looking. She felt invisible in the busy Lagos streets. One afternoon, she saw other food sellers with long queues. She watched them and wondered why her own life never moved forward. A deep sadness filled her heart. She began to think maybe Herbalist Kola was right. That night, she sat alone in darkness. Hunger pressed her stomach, and she whispered, "Maybe just this once." That was the moment temptation entered fully. Mary returned to the herbalist's home early in the morning. She walked fast, trying not to change her mind. Her legs shook as she approached the gate again. She knocked softly, but Herbalist Kola already seemed to be expecting her. He smiled when he saw her. "I knew you would return," he said quietly. Mary kept her head down, ashamed but desperate. She told him she needed his help. Kola brought out a small clay pot and told her she would collect the water herself. Mary felt a chill run down her body. Kola told Mary to meet him that night near an old cemetery at the edge of Lagos. Mary agreed, though her heart pounded. As night fell, she walked toward the cemetery, hugging her body in fear. The wind blew softly, making the trees whisper. Herbalist Kola arrived, holding a lantern. He told her not to speak or make noise. They walked between the graves until they reached a fresh one that smelled of wet soil. Mary wanted to run away, but her legs refused to move. Kola dug part of the earth and pulled out a wooden bowl filled with strange liquid. "This is the water," he said. Mary's stomach turned. Kola made Mary swear she would not tell anyone about the ritual. He said if she broke the promise, she would suffer great punishment. Mary nodded quickly, too shaken to speak. He handed her the clay pot and told her to use only a small amount in each pot of porridge. He reassured her that the customers would not know. They would only feel strong desire to return for more. Mary took the pot and walked away quietly. She felt like she was carrying a heavy curse. The next morning, Mary woke early. Her hands trembled as she picked up the clay pot. She poured just a drop into her porridge pot, feeling guilty and scared. But she forced herself to continue. When she took her cart to the roadside, something strange happened. By 7 a.m., people gathered around her. They said her porridge smelled wonderful. They begged her to serve them first. Mary was shocked. By noon, everything sold out completely. She had never seen so much money in her life. Mary's fame spread quickly. People from streets far away came looking for the sweet porridge woman. Her stall became the most popular in the whole area. Even bus drivers and market women lined up for her food. She bought new clothes, a new pot, and even painted her cart. Everyone admired her overnight success. People said she was blessed. They had no idea what she had done. Mary smiled, but deep inside, she felt fear growing. Customers began to complain whenever Mary closed early. They begged her to stay longer. Some started fighting in the line, shouting that they must eat her porridge before going home. People became addicted without knowing why. They woke up thinking about her porridge. Some even skipped work to get a bowl. Rumors spread that Mary used special ingredients, but nobody guessed the truth. Mary noticed the strange behavior, but she forced herself to ignore it because the money was too sweet to stop. Every night, Mary had nightmares. She saw faces of dead people crying, calling her name. She saw cemeteries and heard voices whispering in her room. She woke up sweating and shaking. She tried to convince herself it was only stress, but the dreams became stronger. Sometimes she heard footsteps in her house, even when she was alone. She felt someone watching her. But every morning, she still added a drop of the water to her porridge. Ada visited Mary after some weeks. She was surprised by Mary's sudden success. Mary tried to smile and pretend everything was normal, but Ada noticed her eyes looked tired and fearful. Ada asked what Mary did differently, but Mary lied and said she changed her recipe. Ada laughed and said she wanted to learn from her. That made Mary panic. Mary told Ada she preferred to work alone, but Ada walked away feeling suspicious. Mary began noticing some strange customers. Some came with shaky hands, breathing heavily like they were sick. Others came with pale faces, begging her not to close. One man fainted in her line, saying he hadn't eaten anything except Mary's porridge for days. People laughed and said he just loved food too much. Mary began to feel guilty, but when she counted her money every night, she told herself she needed the wealth. One evening, as she packed up, an elderly woman approached her. The woman stared at Mary for a long time. Then she said quietly, "Something is wrong with this porridge." Her voice was calm but powerful. Mary froze. She tried to defend her food, but the old woman shook her head. She said she sensed the presence of the dead around the pot. Mary's body became cold. She watched the woman walk away slowly, disappearing into the crowd. That night, Mary told herself the old woman was only jealous. She convinced herself that nothing was wrong, but deep inside, she knew the truth. Her conscience kept troubling her. She tried to reduce the amount of corpse water, but the porridge lost its strong attraction. Customers complained it didn't taste the same. The line became shorter. Fearful of losing her success, she started adding more drops again. Mary started seeing a tall shadow following her. At first, she thought it was just stress, but soon, She noticed the shadow even in daylight. It followed her around the market and disappeared whenever she turned to look properly. One time, she felt someone breathing on her neck, but when she turned, nobody was there. She ran home that night, trembling like a child. But still, the next morning, she cooked. Ada, still suspicious, decided to follow Mary early one morning. She hid behind a corner and watched Mary adding something into the pot. Mary turned quickly, but Ada hid on time. Ada was shocked. She had no idea what Mary was adding, but she knew it wasn't normal ingredients. She decided to talk to her later. Ada didn't know that danger was already close. One morning, Mary woke to find her clay pot cracked. The strange liquid leaked out slowly on the floor. Mary screamed loudly. She rushed to the shrine and begged herbalist Kola to help her. But Kola didn't seem shocked. He told her the pot cracked because the spirit inside was hungry. He said she must now bring something bigger to restore it. Mary shook in fear. What did he mean by bigger? Ada ran to a different herbalist Tund, who was known to fight evil spirits. She explained everything. He shook his head sadly and said Mary had opened a dangerous door. He agreed to help, but he warned that the spirit would not leave easily. It had already fed on many souls through the porridge. Ada agreed to anything that could save Mary. Tund visited Mary at night with Ada. He brought charms, cowries, and burning incense. The moment he entered, the shadow screamed loudly, shaking the room. Mary fainted immediately. Tund began chanting, calling the spirit out. The walls shook, and cold wind filled the room. The spirit attacked, throwing objects across the room. Ada held Mary tightly, crying as Tund fought. The spirit finally spoke through Mary's mouth. It revealed it was the soul of a man whose body Mary used. He said he wanted revenge. He wanted Mary to suffer as he did. The spirit said Kola trapped him in the clay pot and used him to control people. Mary fell unconscious as he spoke. Tund realized this was deeper than he thought. Tund and Ada went to confront herbalist Kola. They found him preparing another ritual. When he saw them, he smiled wickedly and said Mary belonged to the spirits now. Tund warned him to reverse the curse, but Kola refused. A spiritual battle began between the two herbalists. The ground shook, and bright sparks filled the shrine. Tund won, but Kola disappeared into darkness. Tund returned to Mary with special herbs and holy water. He placed symbols around her room and began the final ritual. Mary shook violently as the spirit tried to escape. The room became cold. Mary screamed in pain. Ada cried and begged the spirit to leave her friend. Tund continued praying louder. Finally, the spirit left with a loud shriek. Mary woke up weak but alive. She felt empty inside, as if something heavy had been taken from her. She thanked Ada and Tund, crying with regret. But Tund warned her that the spirits she used had taken part of her destiny. She could never use the pot again or seek shortcuts in life. Mary nodded silently. Mary confessed everything to the police. People were shocked and angry. Some wanted her arrested. Others wanted her punished spiritually. But when the officers saw her condition, they realized she was more of a victim than a criminal. They took the pot away for investigation. Mary returned home, ashamed. The community gathered to decide Mary's fate. Some forgave her, saying poverty pushed her into darkness. Others said she should be banished. In the end, the elders warned her never to sell food again. They asked Tund to purify the area where she sold her porridge. Mary accepted their decision quietly. Mary moved to a smaller community in Ajegunle. She started doing small laundry jobs. Life was hard again, but she was free from nightmares and shadows. She preferred peace over riches. Ada visited often, supporting her with food and comfort. Slowly, Mary became herself again. She thanked God daily for a second chance. Mary realized that shortcuts to success always come with hidden dangers. She learned that greed opens doors that cannot easily be closed. She promised herself never to seek help from dark powers again. Her story spread across Lagos. Many people learned from her mistake and avoided dangerous herbalists. Mary's suffering became a warning to the whole community, and so, the tale of the porridge seller woman became a folktale told for generations.